Make a cake, you got to make it.
That's right. And you've got to be the cook. You've got to mix the ingredients, follow the recipe, take those steps, and then be responsible for the outcome. Right?
Well,
and what people in this country don't want to do is they don't want, number one, apparently too many of them for too long haven't wanted to do the work, and then they've wanted to pass on the responsibility for failure to somebody else. In a self-governing society, you're responsible for success and failure.
Let me ask you this question. No other country, except maybe Switzerland, the Netherlands for a time, has been able to do what we've created here. And I really researched our founders. I mean, they were some of the most exceptional men in history, and such a large concentration of exceptional. I mean, that's why the King of England, King George III, whenever George Washington refused kingship, here in the U.S., he said he's the greatest man in the world today, because no one really in history had refused the Caesar power when it was offered. I just don't know. We're so wrecked societally. We're so decadent and lazy. There's a lot of good people. And in a republic, it doesn't matter if 80% are a bunch of sloths. I guess it's up to us to go take over the system and be the sovereigns. But then if the mass isn't involved, it'll kind of degenerate back into the same thing. I mean, are we up to this beautiful republic? Do we even deserve it?
Well, we have to be, because we have no choice. The only choice is to give up and let those people who are far worse than we are, the New World Order rights, win. And damn it, I don't intend to let them do that.
No, I agree with you.
We have no choice, Alex. And I think we'll find enough people. You know, leaven is a very small amount of the loaf, right?
Yes.
Always. The yeast is just a tiny amount, and it moves the entire mass of flour. We will find that 5% or 10%, and then the great mass of people, most of whom I think in this country are people of goodwill and basic common sense. You know, they may not have been educated as well as they should have been in this public school system. You can go all down this list of horribles that we have. But basically, I think they're of sound mind and good disposition. And when they are shown by a proper leadership group the right way to go, they will go along.
Oh, I agree with you. They've never been shown what true freedom is. They've just been kind of in this ether. A fish doesn't know it's in the water.
That's right. And they have the good sense to know which way to jump. I mean, the fish has the good sense to know which way to jump. Not back onto the sand, but into the water, right? If he's given the opportunity, if it's given the opportunity. And I think exactly the same is true of the average American. When the right leaders come along and show them the correct alternatives, they will adopt those alternatives.
Well, I study history. I mean, just 100 years ago, people jealously guarded their freedom and knew it was important. We've got to get that same mistrust of government back. We've got to cut the size of it. Stay there, doctor.
Don't answer it.
If fear strikes your heart when the phone rings, knowing it may be another bill collector, it's time for you to call Zero Debt in 90 days. 800-477-9256. Settlements, bankruptcy, and attorneys are not the answer and may end up costing you up to 10 times more than necessary. Listen, if you're already in debt, does it make sense to get buried in another payment plan? Zero Debt in 90 days gets you out of debt in 90 days guaranteed, without a payment plan and without attorneys or going to court. Get the fastest relief from debt on the planet when you call 800-477-9256. If you have debt with the IRS, credit cards, student loans, or a foreclosure, we can help at Zero Debt in 90 days, and we are the only organization to provide written guarantees on the results. Go to ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com. That's ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com. Or call now for free information. 800-477-9256. That's 800-477-9256.
The question is, where should the American people draw their line in the sand?
What have we got? A republic or a monarchy?
A republic is based on a constitution which protects minority rights.
Not democracy, not mob rule, two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner.
So they think they own our land, they think they own our water, children, our education, our money.
We have to define who we are and what we will tolerate.
Somebody's going to ask you what you did during the Patriot Uprising.
You have been warned.
We have the facts. We have the Constitution. We have the Bill of Rights. We have common law. Knowledge is power, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm so excited to be able to offer you Don't Tread on Me, Rise of the Republic. Tyranny is upon us, but liberty and the sleeping giant that is the American people is rising. A new tool in the info war. Don't Don't Tread on Me. Order it at Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139 and support independent, patriotic Liberty Films.
You worry. You see the signs and worry about the future. You worry about economic turmoil and food shortages. How to be prepared while preserving your sanity. Your answer may be at hand. Author Linda Runyon lived off the land, isolated from civilization. She knows that as long as the sun shines, there will be plenty of free food all over God's green earth. Perhaps the only sane insurance is knowledge of wild edible plants. The cost of learning is minimal. Wild food grows everywhere, and you will see it everywhere. It's every bit organic and more nutritious than our modern diets. Well respected in her field, Linda's approach to teaching this subject includes books, flashcards, and video with an emphasis on health, safety, practicality, and joy. Learn how to identify it, where and when to find it, how to prepare, use, and store it. Go to Linda's website, ofthefield.com, and take advantage of special offers. Or if you're not online, call her 24-hour toll-free order line at 888-51-EAT-FREE. That number again, 888-51-EAT-FREE. A little knowledge makes starvation impossible.
Final segment with Dr. Edwin Vieira. We'll be back live tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central, 12 noon Eastern.
Well, I'm not the kind of
He's in the film Don't Tread on Me, Rise of the Republic, that has a lot of these great constitutional ideas ingrained in it. Very important to relearn the Bill of Rights and Constitution and to get this information out to everyone you know. Available at Infowars.com. It's up to you. First, we've got to educate the people. We've got to take action. We've got to get it done. But the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but it's far past that. I talked about this 14 years ago. Now it's mainstream news that all babies at birth for 30-plus years, 37, 38 years, in all the Western nations have had their blood taken for a global DNA database. Now there's debate in Congress right now. This is KTSM News Channel, this Katie law, where everybody who basically gets arrested will have DNA taken. And a judge just ruled in Texas they're taking blood illegally without warrants for DWIs. They're having the police do it, and the police say they don't care. They're going to continue it. A judge in Texas said that these toll road cameras and speed cameras aren't constitutional because there's not an officer involved. The police don't stop. I mean, there's just a real lawlessness we're seeing from government.
And, that particular aspect of lawlessness, this growing level of police state, really brutality that's involved, not simply they're fated to abide by court decisions or statutes or whatever, but actually brutalizing the people. If you revitalize the militia in a particular state, all of those police departments, sheriff's departments, state police, what have you, would become subsets of the militia structure. And then they would be subject to discipline by the citizens in their own local communities. And I can guarantee you that within about a week after that had happened, all of that behavior would stop. Because the consequences to any particular police officer would be so horrendous that they wouldn't do it.
And the media always frames this like that would persecute police. No, then the good cops would be put into positions of power instead of the bad ones being elevated. Now they're kicking the good cops out.
Yeah, the bad ones would be weeded out very quickly. They'd be weeded out either because they'd be caught and disciplined and expelled, or because they take a look at the situation and wouldn't want to take the risk, and they try to find another job. They go to Starbucks and serve coffee or what have you. There's the difficulty. Many years ago, I remember in New York City, I think when Lindsay was the mayor of New York City, there were complaints from the black community about the way the city police were dealing with those people in very discriminatory and high-handed. They didn't use the term police state, but that's what they were talking about, police state fashion. And they wanted to set up, I think they did end up setting up a citizens review board. Well, that's essentially how a militia would operate, as a huge citizens review board, because all of these uniformed militia members who were in the subsets of the militia called the local police or the state police or what have you, would now have to answer on a regular basis to the members of their own local militia companies and be subject to some kind of militia discipline if they had misbehaved in the performance of their duties as the uniformed service.
Well, we've got to go this way because it makes the public become independent and rugged again, what we're supposed to be, instead of a bunch of cowards. I've told the story of a woman choking in a restaurant, and no one was helping her, and I had to push people aside to do the Heimlich as they, like parrots, said, call 911, call 911. She would have been dead by the time they got there. And I was weird because I saved the lady. I mean, we have just become domesticated. Dr. Edwin Vieira writes for newswithviews.com. Quickly, tell us about a few of the books you've written and how people can get them.
Well, the latest one on the militia is called Constitutional Homeland Security. That's available on Amazon. I have another one, earlier book, Imperial Judiciary, which deals with the problem of judicial supremacy, which we talked about earlier. That's also available on Amazon. And there's also on Amazon, the Heritage Research Institute has just put out a DVD called The Purse and the Sword, which goes into great detail about quite a bit of what we've been talking about today.
Well, I look forward to talking to you again. You did a great job, and don't tread on me. God bless you, Doc. Thanks for the time.
Take care.
You bet. Take care. Great job, crew.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.